In this video, we will review the next milestone in our redesign project, wireframes. First, we will take a closer look at the practice of wireframing, then we will review the UI/UX process of iterative design. Next, we will explore several wireframe examples, and finally, we will wrap up by reviewing the requirements and several tips for completing this milestone. A wireframe is an illustration of an interface. This can be a page in a website or application, or even something more complex like a vehicle or a machine. There are two types of wireframes: low-fidelity sketches that are largely abstract and quick to develop, used to communicate layout and design ideas, or capture notes, and high-fidelity, detailed wireframes used for documentation. Wireframes focus on exploring space and layout, as well as the prioritization of content and functionality. For example, a client may prioritize top products or categories for an e-commerce website, or online ordering for a restaurant app. Wireframes help explore how this content and functionality will be presented in the layout of an interface, and the use of notes or annotations can be used within a wireframe to help communicate a designer's ideas or intentions to a client or a development team. Wireframing is a major component or deliverable in the iterative design process, which is the process of applying feedback early and often to the design of a product. This process is often called rapid prototyping, which is used to test and refine a product in iterations, creating multiple, refined versions before a product is released. On a large scale, this product can be a big software application, but on a small scale, it can be a website or app, or even just a specific feature in an existing product. The UI/UX process of iterative design is a great way to gather requirements and create a plan. Share a draft of your design for testing or feedback, then evaluate that feedback and apply it to the refinement or next iteration of your design. It is a different approach than trying to create a perfect, award-winning portfolio piece right from the jump, but it is much more cost-effective and can be used to explore whether or not an idea will work before committing time and resources to a product. Iterative design is often used in development or project management methodologies called Agile or Lean. In both approaches, designers play an important role in building concepts and prototypes for testing. Next, we will explore several wireframe examples. In this first example, we see that it is very abstract, without much detail. The designer has marked out a general idea of the layout of this interface and how the space will be used. We can also see the underlying grid that will be used to arrange the various sections and other content, like recent ads and new or popular articles. And on the right here we see the annotations or notes. In this wireframe, the designer has included a numbered legend and detailed notes. This is a great way to communicate your ideas and a great point of reference for your client or other teams that will review your wireframes. Finally, in this example, we see the specific highlights and details are included as well. We will explore increasingly detailed wireframe examples, but it is important to point out that even at this high level, a development team can get started building the layout of your website or app and begin planning for the functionality described in your notes. In our second example, we see some additional details including UI elements like a menu bar and drop-down boxes and images. We also see headings and section titles and specific functionality like search. The annotations here appear on the sides of the wireframe and contain detailed notes about how the search will function. In these notes, we see how products should be sorted when a user interacts with the dropdown, and we see ideas for how each facet will function in the search. The designer has also used red for annotating, which is a great way to separate your notes from the wireframe itself. Again, wireframes are really useful tools for not only communicating your ideas to a client, but also communicating your ideas to a development team that will then implement your design. And this team might even include yourself if you will be building out your own designs. In this next example, we see some additional details. The designer has included a logo and other branding elements like a banner image. We also begin to see additional details like the navigation appear in this layout, alongside the overall layout and grid system that will be used. We even see sketches of images included in the article layout, which is a nice visual detail. And finally, we see the annotations are included alongside the wireframes with arrows pointing to key areas instead of numbers, labels, or brackets. This approach can sometimes be much clearer and detailed at communicating your notes. However, the client and project will really dictate what is most effective. In this final example, we see the layout and grid of our interface and some visual details like a shadow to indicate separate pages and a page tear to indicate parts of a page. But we also see that the designer is communicating interaction, what the user will see when they click Edit or Assign. This is a great way of communicating specific functions and behaviors, even in hand-drawn sketches. Next, let's review the milestone requirements. Your wireframe concepts should include a minimum of 6 hand-drawn wireframes with annotations, 3 desktop and 3 mobile. These should include the pages you have chosen to focus on, like the home page, about, and contact. Your first post will then be a draft of your wireframe shared as a PDF, and your second post will be feedback for your peers. Finally, let's review a couple of tips for this milestone. First, remember your first post is a draft. At this stage, your draft should reflect your planning. What pages have you chosen? What will your layout look like? What are the key functions or features you will focus on in your redesign? It should also indicate that you have gathered the necessary requirements, the file size and format, and 3 of each device view, desktop and mobile. Your draft should also include any specific ideas you want feedback on. Recall our discussion of iterative design. Now is the time to get feedback from your peers to determine if an idea or approach will work. Finally, your peer feedback should highlight both the strengths and weaknesses of your peer work. Does the wireframe successfully communicate their ideas? Are the annotations clear? Is the layout appropriate for the redesign? Weaknesses are also areas of opportunity. What suggestions do you have that might help improve or enhance their initial wireframe concepts?